Is it starting yet?
Yeah, it started.
Okay.
It makes it a square when
Mom,
it starts,
you want-
Mommy.
Okay. Hi everybody. Hi my students. This is Heather and we're going to do painting. What? Okay, here we go. Today we're going to be painting this umbrella, person on a rainy day with an umbrella, and I'm going to take you step by step through it and show you all the materials that we use for this, and my kids are in the background and try not to make me laugh. So we're going to just do it step by step. So we have the canvas. And this canvas, what I did is I took an old canvas and I put gesso on top of it. This is gesso. Gesso is what you can use to put on top of an old painting if you want to reuse it. And now, basically is now a new surface for painting on. I also have my cup of water. I have 3 brushes. I have a big flat one. I have a small one and a little teeny tiny one. So I'm going to use these 3 brushes today. And the colors we're going to use today are the white and the black and the blue for the background. And then we're going to use all the colors of the rainbow, and we're going to do that step by step. I also have chalk to do the outline of the umbrella, and I have a big plate so that we can do the outline of the umbrella as well. So I'll take you through step by step on this, and we're going to get started by painting the background. We're going to put white. And this is just, this is what I'm using to be my palette. It's a plate and it has saran wrap on top of it so I can reuse it. Paint. Be generous with your paint, don't be stingy. And I'm gonna use a little bit of black. And I'm gonna use a little bit of blue. And this is just totally for the background. We're gonna do the background, we're gonna let it dry. And then we're going to do the next step. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my big fat brush, and I am not gonna dip it into water. Hey girls, could you get me a cloth? I forgot to get a cloth. So I'm actually gonna take the section, you see where the umbrella is gonna be. So I'm gonna take the section, I'm gonna make the umbrella, and I'm gonna paint white around that. Thank you. Almost to the point where I would think the umbrella is going to be. You can also paint on, honestly, a lot of things. You can paint on paper. You can paint on thick paper. Stuff that Michael's has where it's like multi-surface paper, multi-use, so you can use it with acrylic paint or watercolors or oil paints or things like that, and I can show you that a little bit later. But if you see, it's past the plate. So we're going to paint that all like that with the white. And as you can see here, it now starts variegating into a darker color. So I'm going to take a little bit of black and a little bit of blue, and I'm just going to start going on it. A little bit more blue. A little bit more blue on this. And if you make a mistake, it's no big deal, because what we can just do is we can let it dry and we can paint over it. And I was thinking of coming to this painting lesson with a big, huge Bob Ross wig, but I couldn't find one in time. So anyway, I'm just going to continue on this, paint all that. Now, to me, it looks like it's a little too dark right here on the edge, so I'm going to take a bit of white, dip it in the white, and I'm just going to go over that area. Blend it a little bit in the middle, blend it out to the ends. Long strokes, long strokes. That looks better. And it seems like it could do a tiny bit darker in in the areas, in the edges. So I'm just going to put a little tiny bit of black, a little tiny bit of blue. A little bit more blue. Okay, so it looks like that's the totally outside of it. That looks okay with me. Make sure my plate looks good. And that's all we're gonna do right now. We're gonna let that dry, and then we're gonna come back, and after that dries, we're gonna paint the umbrella on top of it. So that's all we're gonna do for right now. I am back, and I'm gonna continue with the next step of this painting. I put it outside to let it dry, so that was pretty fast. And then I washed out my brush, and just as a little tip to make sure that when you wash out your brushes, wash them out really well. And so there's no paint at all. When you run the water and it runs through the brush, no paint at all, and then let it dry flat. That's the best way to let paintbrushes dry. Okay, so we're gonna do the next step of this, which is doing the umbrella and the shadowing down here and the legs. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get our chalk, and we're gonna get a plate of some sort, and we're gonna put it on here where we want it. It doesn't have to be where I put it. Put it wherever you want it. I'm gonna have it sticking off the edges a little bit here. And then I'm gonna trace this way, and I'm gonna trace around. I'm gonna lift that off, and I'm gonna have a little chalk mark as to where the plate was. Now I do have to confess, I kind of wish I had more white out here, but this is okay. We're gonna make do with what we have on this. So I have my plate outline. I'm not sure if you can see that on there. I'm also going to take, you can notice here on this one, how the center of the umbrella is actually not the center of the circle. So it's off to the side. So I'm gonna do that, the same thing there, to give it the idea that it's tilted that way. So I'm gonna take I'm gonna make it the center. I'm gonna go kind of between halfway, between the center and the end. I'm gonna make that my center point. And then I'm gonna start making the umbrellas. Now you notice it's not straight. These are curved lines here. These lines are not straight, they're curved. And before I start making the lines, I'm going to decide how many points that I want to have, how many pieces of the umbrella I want to have. And if you count this, you'll see, you'll start with the yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 pieces. So that means I have 12 colors. And I can show you what I'm going to do on that. So I'm going to say, okay, do I want to have 12 things? I'm going to do that. So I'm going to start with the top. I'm going to start this area here. I'm going to go to the bottom. And then I'm going to go, so like 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And then I'm going to take, there's 9 o'clock here. And then I'm going to do a couple of them in the middle. So basically I have I'm going to have basically all my markings here. Then I'm going to take from the center, the dot that I made the center, not the center of the circle, but the center of the umbrella. And I'm going to just make an arc all the way to the end of the line. And you're going to have the chalk mark go from the center of the dot to the edge of your circle. Or you can have it go a little bit past that, and I'll show you. So if you go a little bit past that, just make a little arc. And then at one point it's going to kind of be straight. And then you're going to kind of go arc the other way. One more here. So I kind of did that. Okay. And the great thing with chalk is you can just erase what you don't want and make a different one. So you can kind of see all that there. Bring that up closer to you. So then when I'm done with that, then I'm going to take the bottom pieces. Let's run this one. Take the bottom pieces. God, this is not working at all. And I'm going to connect them. I feel like stopping this and starting over again with something that you can see. Let me just see that. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna make it like an arch, like the umbrella. Okay, I'm probably gonna mark this with a darker thing so you can see that better. So give me just a minute. All right, everybody, I'm going rogue on this. I'm gonna use a Crayola marker, see how this works. So I'm gonna take you through this again. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna take the plate, and if you already got all this, then you can just fast forward to the next part. I'm gonna put the plate on here where I wanna do it. I'm gonna mark around. So there's my circle now. Now you can see that the center of the circle is not the center of the umbrella. The center of the circle is not the center of the umbrella here. So that gives that illusion that it's angled. So I'm gonna take the center of my circle. I'm gonna make another set. Here's the center of my circle, and there's the end. I'm probably gonna go about halfway through, and that's gonna be the center of my umbrella. And then I'm going to make, this has 12 sections here. So I'm gonna make 12 sections here. I'm gonna start this is like 12 o'clock, and this is like 6 o'clock. I'm gonna make this like 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And then I'm gonna make a couple more in the middle. And I'm gonna fudge it a little bit because some things look better when you fudge them a little bit. Okay, so those are my marks. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take my marker, or chalk, use chalk, and I'm gonna do a curve. You can see these lines aren't straight. There's some point where it actually then goes straight and starts going the other way. And then it goes straight and starts going the other way. So I'm gonna start just doing a curved line all the way ahead. I'm gonna go all the way just past my circle. So I'm gonna take this, one line, just one line. You're gonna get good at doing one particular line. Just go for it and do it. From the center, all the way here. And the great thing about chalk is that you can erase it if you don't like it, or just chalk over it. When you paint on it, it's gonna go away, so that's fine. Here, kind of get straighter, straight. Now you can see my lines are passed. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the arch here of the umbrella. So go this way and just make an arch. And I made a mistake. And that is going to be the basis of my umbrella. So you see how that is? And yes, I did use a Crayola marker. We'll see how that goes with the paint. Okay, so now that I have that with all chalked in, I'm going to take this one. See how the size of that? This is the size I'm going to use to do all my painting. And I'm going to start with the red. I'm just going to go follow as close to this as possible. So you can see there's a red, there's a purple, and there's a blue, and there's one between the red. I actually mixed the red and the purple to get that color. And believe it or not, here, I don't have a purple, so I'm going to make a purple using the red and the blue. And then I have blue, I have a dark green, lighter green, even lighter green, yellow, light yellow, yellow, orange. So this is the colors that I'm going to use. You can do any combination. Just make sure you have the colors, what you want to do ahead of time, so you're not done with the rainbow and then have more colors that you have to do. So we're going to figure that out together. So I'm going to take my red And I'm going to decide which one I'm going to do. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to kind of duplicate that. And I'm going to start from the center. One stroke from the center all the way out to your line. And this is practice. And if you mess up, that's okay, because you can just do it again. So this is just our practice. We're going to just do it as we're going to do it. And then we'll just practice. So start from the center all the way out. Doesn't look great. One stroke. One stroke. You can fill that in. Good, so that's that. I am going to, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on top of that, because you can see how this has some white in it right here. So I'm going to make some white marks. Wipe that up a little bit. I'm going to make some white marks right now using the same paintbrush that I had my red on. I'm going to dip it in the white, little area of the white. I'm going to start at the center, and I'm going to go one stroke. And I'm going to do a stroke like this. So it's not going to go all the way down. Now we're going to come back when it's dry and put another little white bit on top of it, but that's what we're going to do right now. Now I'm going to, well, I would usually rinse my brush and go to the next color, but because the next one's purple and I don't have a purple, I'm going to make it. I'm going to take the blue, and it has a little bit of white in it, but I'm going to take the blue and the red, and I'm going to mix till I have a purple that has a little bit more red in it. And then I'm going to take that, I'm going to do the same thing, next one down. So I'm going to start from the center, wipe it off, make sure I don't have so much. Start from the center and go out. Clean up that line, little area right there. Dab a little tiny bit of white. Not so much, just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit on the brush. Go from the center and go out. And then one little tiny thing like that. Good. Now I'm going to make it a little bit more purple add a little bit more blue to that. So I'm just going to add the blue. Make it more blue. Make that purple bluer. And we'll go to the next one. Start from the center, move out. Make sure you do that curve too. Do that curve. Okay, once I got that filled in, little dab of purple, a little dab of white, I mean. Not much, just a little dab. Go from the center. Real lightly. Wrist push real lightly. Okay, now because I'm going to go totally blue right now, I'm actually going to rinse my brush. Wow, I'm mixing all my colors here. Fantastic, Mom. Okay, rinse that, rinse that, rinse that, rinse that. And take my cloth, paper towels totally work just fine, and I'm gonna dry that off a bit. Take my blue, dip it into my blue, start from the center. Make that line. Fill that in. Take a dab of white, just a little tiny bit. Very lightly. Pull it through. Okay, now I have a pretty dark green there. So I'm going to take a little bit of my green and add it to the blue that I have over here. See if I can make just a darker green on this. It's looking pretty blue here. I'm going to see what I can do on this. See how this looks. That's an interesting color. It's kind of like a teal. See how we do this. Start from the center, pull it down. Make a little doohickey, the arch for the umbrella. Make a tiny bit more. Make sure all that covers. Take a dab of white. Okay, now, because I'm going into the straight green, I'm going to wash my brush again. Dab it off here, go straight for the green, go from the center, pull it out. And this green does not cover very well. Well, we're going to do the best we can on this. It's a very pretty color. Take a dab of white. And I'm just going to go right into the next green, which is a lighter green that I have here. Not even going to rinse my brush off. Take the center. Take a dab of white. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow and I'm going to add it to the lighter green that I have here. This lighter green color that I have, I'm going to add a little bit of my yellow to the lighter green. See if I can make it even a lighter green. So I'm going to do that. Center. Kind of goes off. So kind of fortunate for us. Dab of white. Wasn't quite a big enough dab. Okay. Now what I'm actually going to do is go straight yellow. So I'm going to wash this off and go straight yellow. If ever when you're doing your painting you feel like you need to take a break and clean up your water, this is pretty dirty and murky. I should probably go fix that. Under my best advice, I'm going to keep going. Take yellow, dab it into my straight yellow. So I'm going to do some more oranges over here. Center. It's mixing with the blue from the marker, so it's looking a little green. Dab in a little bit of white. Now I have this other yellow that has like an orange tint to it, so I'm going to use one of those. Yeah, I hope you guys don't use the marker, just use the chalk, because this, this is white chalk. If you use white chalk, then you won't get any mixture of anything like that. I'm going to come back over after that, and I'm going to, once that dries, I'm going to cover that again. Then I do have some orange here, so I'm going to put a little bit of orange. I'm going to do this one. Center. The center, go all the way out. Other side. Do the little bottom part of the umbrella there. Take a little tiny bit down of white. And now, because I kind of like this yellow, I wanted to make more of an orange. So I'm putting some of the orange with the other darker yellow that I have. See how that mixes up? See what kind of color I can get from that. Is that a yellow? Is that a white? Okay, I probably will do the orange again once it dries, but that's okay. So I'm gonna wash this off, and then we're gonna go do the down here. While this dries, we're gonna go do some things down here. Okay, you're gonna use the same colors that you have on your palette. And I'm probably gonna use my big brush again to make it just a little bit easier. Wash that more thoroughly later. Bigger brush. Okay, so you see here on this, it's kind of like a dark greenish, and this is a darker color, so we're making the shadows underneath the umbrella. So I'm going to take a bit of this green, a touch of black into that little green area, and a touch of white. A little bit more blue in there. Touch of green. See what this gets us. And so then I'm going to I'm going to see how it's kind of like down, just like down this area, this whole little area. And it's not going to be caked on. It's just kind of going to be like almost like dry brushing, where it looks like there's not enough paint on the brush. And we're just going to kind of create a little effect there. So I'm going to start here, kind of right around here between these two things. So I'm going to start right around here, and I'm just going to do one motion all the way down, one stroke, and see what I get, and see how it creates, what I create. So it's a little darker, then it's not any green, it's not green like that, which I can go and change, but I'm just going to go back and forth now with that one. Notice I'm not adding any more paint to it. I'm just trying to create like a shadowy kind of effect. Some do some things back and forth, crosshatch. Not perfect, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. If you want to add a little bit more green to it, you can add a little bit more green. I'd like to use the colors that we already have on the plate, because then it kind of gives it more character, and you get to use up all the paint that you have. So I'm taking a little bit more and see what a little bit more green there. Okay, and then right here where the feet are going to go, it's going to be darker. So I'm going to take some of this purple that I made. I'm just going to put a little bit of that right underneath where the feet would be. Just like that, okay? See how that goes. So then I'm going to wash this out. I need to go get more water, so you'll have to excuse me while I just go get more water. One moment, please. Okay, so I got some more water. Rinse out my brush. Take this other brush that I was using, make sure that's all clean, dry that off more. And while this is drying down here before we put our feet, we're going to put a little more highlights up in the top area. And don't worry right now about what's happening between the colors on this. You can see here, or you may be able to see here, what I went through at the very end is I went through with a black Sharpie. And I just took a black Sharpie and I went through all of them. Lined everything with a black Sharpie. So it had very clean and neat lines at the very end. And we'll do that. We'll do that. So right now, don't worry about it. We're just going to add some of these white highlights here. Okay, so we're going to take a little, make sure that's all dried off. Take a dab of white. And then you can dab it off on the side, like once you dab it in so it's kind of dry. You don't want it to be too wet. And you're just going to take one line. Try to do it light, and you can always do a little bit heavier, but try to do a very light line from the center down. And then a little one over here. And do it on every one of them. So adds a little bit of highlight on that, as you can see. Okay, we'll rinse that off. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do these legs. Now these legs are pretty simple. We're doing pretty just simple legs. We're going to take this same flat brush, the small brush, dip it in a dark color, and we're going to take the legs and we're going to pull them down and then just over a little bit. Down and over a little bit. And go over that maybe 1 or 2 more times. They're just very simple legs. The original painting was very, very simple legs. We're just going to do the very, very simple legs. And then later, we're going to put like this part is a little bit lighter than this part, so we'll do that as well. So I'm going to take black and a little bit of the purple that I did. And it might be a little wet, it's going to be okay. So I'm going to start in this area here. I'm going to go bring it down and over a little bit. I'm going to over that a couple times. And then I'm going to take some green. I'm sort of like, okay, well, I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. Just dab it right into the green and just go halfway down. It's a little bit of different color to it. You could take a tiny bit of the orange. So now what we do is we'll let all of that dry, and then we're going to come back and trace everything over with the Sharpie. All right now. So now that the painting is dry, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Sharpie and I'm going to go over all the edges of the umbrella to give it its definition. So we're going to find the center of this. I'm going to make a big circle. I'm going to make a little point, the top point for the top of the umbrella. And go out. It's important that you do one stroke. So calculate it and make sure you do one stroke. And of course I messed up on that. Can you still see me here? See, I have my hand here, and then I'm kind of using as a whole arch. And I messed up a bit on that one. want to go to the legs too? And make that circle again, just to make sure it's all. And there you have it. And that is the umbrella on a rainy day.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, oh, Daddy, Mama, Love, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.